Adam Pesic. I'm the mechanical engineering manager here at Evoqua. Let's see here, 15 years in my career. Let's see, about 10 of them in actual engineering and about 5 of them in management.
Awesome. So how did you first become interested in engineering and in your career?
It was more of an aptitude thing. I've always been kind of a math and science kid and all of that sort of stuff. So when the time came and, that high school time frame and all of that, it was more, what will you be interested in? What will you be kind of good at? And so my father was a field service engineer, so he was pretty versed in, kind of a big spectrum of engineering and all of that. So he recommended mechanical engineering because it's more hands-on and all of that, and that's what I always like to tinker and take apart things and break them and all that sort of stuff, and that's how I ended up in the mechanical world. Good question. Basically a 4-year degree from a university. I went to UCCS here in town. Just a Bachelor of Science degree in mechanical engineering. That's a very good question. Engineers, have kind of a stigma of being, very introverted and quiet and all of that sort of stuff. And to a certain extent, that's pretty true. But the personality traits are, like I mentioned before, the aptitude, right? But also teamwork is a big thing, right? You have to be able to work in groups and all of that. And in school, you're working with groups of your peers in engineering. Or mechanical engineering, to be more specific. In the real world, you're actually working with people of different disciplines in project groups and all of that, and that makes it a little bit more fun. Not that school isn't fun, but it's just the different dynamic.
Sure.
Another good question. Depending on the industry you go into, the salary ranges can be a very wide spectrum. So if you go into oil and gas or petroleum or something like that, it's going to be, a little bit higher than, let's say, a machine shop or a design shop or something like that. Having said that, somewhere in the $65,000 to $95,000 range a year. Again, kind of depending on the industry that you go into. So huge potential for growth. So, and again, kind of depending on the company you work for or the industry that you're in, engineers have good opportunity to develop into different things. I myself developed into management and leadership. You can become kind of a subject matter expert, right? Where you hone in on a couple of things that you're kind of the expert and the go-to person for. Sales is always a big one, right? If technical people that can sell things, can make a lot of money if that's what somebody's looking into. Advertising, marketing, product development. There's a lot of different avenues that you can take with that foundation. Obviously, pre and post COVID, most of the time is in the office. Typically, try to work, the 8 to 5 hour or 8 to 5 o'clock workday, which is basically your 40-hour work week and all of that. Here at Evoqua, we are pretty cyclical when it comes to project workload and all of that. So sometimes a 40-hour work week will turn into 50, and sometimes you'll be a little bit slow, and it'll be, you're filling 40 hours, but you might be doing other things, organizing and all of that sort of stuff. But on the whole, I would say on average, it's about a 45-hour work week. That's become, unfortunately, a little bit typical in the professional world these days. But the people that work here in particular are very good at what they do, very passionate about what they do. It's a very challenging experience, which is nice. It's a custom, we're a customs engineering, type of firm. So there's a wide spectrum, and it's not like, a monotonous day-to-day sort of thing we do here. Yeah, no, so a typical day, honestly, so we have manufacturing here as well, which is a nice thing about this place, is that not only do we design and engineer here, but it also gets built here. So we get to see what we actually are doing and all of that. Not everybody in the engineering world gets to see what they're actually designing. But the first thing is actually to go talk to manufacturing and see if there's any issues. If there are, I could spend the rest of the day trying to solve those problems. Typically that doesn't happen. and most of the time it's a it's a onesie twosie kind of a small issue that to help solve and all that. As an engineer, the rest of the day would be kind of managing your projects, which would be anywhere from the procurement phase, design phase, from the process of the equipment that we're doing. What else is there? Design reviews, where we're going over and reviewing everything, drawing details and all of that sort of stuff. So like I said, it's a wide spectrum of things that kind of are enveloped underneath the engineering cloud there, if you will. Well, so one of the benefits is the challenge. We're problem solvers, right? We're in the custom business, at least here anyway. Now, engineering on the whole is going to be kind of defined as problem solvers, and that's what is always nice, is being able to solve problems big or small. And it can go outside of actual engineering. It can go into processes within your business. If you have an idea that's going to help streamline something, that's a good thing as well. So it kind of all comes together from both an engineering perspective and also a business and process perspective. Oh, absolutely. Again, the quote unquote 8 to 5, that's kind of the the American way of doing things, right? So work-life balance is what you make it. I like to put in hard work for the time I'm here, so I don't waste a lot of time, so that I can have that balance to go home and spend my time with my family. The people I work with. Now, I like the challenge of the job and all of that, but there's a good sense of I guess success would be the word, when you have a group that pulls together to put out a nice working piece of equipment on the back end to have a happy customer. And forging that time and relationships and that effort with other people, it can be very rewarding. There's always going to be need for engineers. But the type of things that we are designing, I think, will progress more into the robotic and AI sort of things. Whereas, God, that's kind of a hard question too, though. So, so robotics and AI sort of stuff. But at the same time, new cars, new widgets, new whatever, those all need to be designed and built and manufactured and all of that. So it will evolve, but there will still always be kind of that underlying foundation of, kind of what mechanical engineering and engineering as a whole is. Just be ready to work hard. The advice I would give myself would just be to focus a little bit more and, kind of put your head down and persevere through it. And there's a reason, engineering is hard, right? Especially through school and all of that sort of stuff. Really what they're trying to identify is that you have the capability of learning and sticking it out and all of that. And knowing that beforehand would have been a big help. The education is great and all of that, but it's kind of a gauntlet that they want to put you through just to prove yourself that you can, that you're worthy of doing it.